April 2021, on a day now dubbed Black Wednesday, WWE once again did look at their roster and decide, we're gonna get rid of a bunch of you. And it was just a very, very sad 24 hours. However, to spin this, what is good to do and to inject some positivity back into the situation is get 12 months down the line, which we're basically doing now, and see what these chaps and chapesses are up to right now. So hi, my name is Simon What Culture. Make sure you subscribe. And here's what those people I just talked about are doing right now. 10 Samoa Joe. Think of treating Samoa Joe this way. Now, to be fair, he seems very happy and buoyant about his WWE run, so good for him. But days after he had smashed it out of commentator at WrestleMania, which he did in the rain, WWE decided, sorry Joe, we don't want you anymore. He was then brought back in the summer to NXT, which was clearly a Triple H move, and even though he became the NXT champion for a little bit, he then disappeared from our screens, apparently did some backstage work, when all of a sudden, WWE released him again. So this was totally baffling, but a few months afterwards, not only did he return at Ring of Honor's Super Card of Honor, but he also signed with AEW, and I'm gonna tell you this, not only will he become the Ring of Honor World Champion, but I bet you sometime in the future, he even challenges for the AEW World Championship, and I will be sat there on the sofa going, Joe, Joe, Joe. One, because I love him, but two, because I'm a massive nerd. All things considered, worked out quite well. Number 9, Mickie James. Royal Rumble 2022 was really cool because not only did Mickie James return to WWE, but she did so as the Impact Champion. Ooh, dalali. This seemed especially important because when she was released in April 2021, somebody decided they would send her things and they would do it in a trash bag. And I'm sorry, I don't even care what the reasons why are. This is not something you do, it was disgusting. Now WWE did acknowledge this was a mistake and they apologized to James, and I'm pretty sure she accepted said apology. But surely now, they are also taking a look back going, well, not only do we make an error with that, but maybe we shouldn't have released Mickie James, because not only can she still go, she having good matches with everyone. She would also be of huge benefit to the up-and-coming female talent because she has buckets of experience. So maybe one day she will come back. I mean, it is wrestling after all. Never say never. Number 8, Peyton Royce. So all of a sudden you're looking at me going, Simon, why have you changed your clothes? Well, I'm gonna let you into a little bit of a secret. I recorded this video, and then hours after I'd submitted it, Peyton Royce, along with Billie Kay, the inspiration, put out a press release that said, well, we're now done with professional wrestling. And I was like, man, I can't believe it. Now, obviously, this doesn't matter, and the really cool thing is I assume they're going to go on to bigger and brighter things, and they deserve it. But yeah, there was a time when after we had split up the Iconics, the rumor going around was that Vince McMahon wanted to push Peyton Royce. And I was a bit like, okay, well, I don't understand why you split up that tag team. They were damn entertaining, but if she's about to get a big old push, why the hell not? She even managed to make it onto Raw Talk where she was all like, oh man, I've got to fulfill my potential. And then she had a few matches, and then she vanished from television, and then a few weeks after that, she got released. As already mentioned, ever since then, she did reunite with Billie Kay, who we'll talk about in just one second, to form the inspiration in Impact Wrestling. And they were so damn good. As ever, they were so joyful to watch. And I actually hoped they would go and do more indie bookings, because on the indie scene, you can be even more creative. But instead, they've hung up their boots. So good for them. I hope they go out there and smash it. Number 7, Billie Kay. Yep, of course, you already knew this one was coming. It's Billie Kay. I'd already said a huge speech about this and how good her CV gimmick was at WWE and how it made me laugh, and how once again WWE released her even though she was being really funny and entertaining on TV. I mean, it's a sports entertainment company, what have you got to do? As we do now know, along with Peyton, she is going to be leaving the industry, and I just hope they do fulfill their dreams, because that's what matters. But do not forget this, before she was fired from the company, the Iconics were broken up, and then we just didn't really do much of anything. So yes, this has been a very strange tangent in the middle of a video. What do you want me to do? I didn't know this was going to happen, but it does allow me to go Iconics, inspiration, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce. I always found you very, very good at what you did, and really maybe you never got your due, so good luck in whatever is next. Let's roll on. The 6, Bo Dallas. For 2 years before he was released, the big question was, where the hell is Bo Dallas? Because we didn't see him on TV, to the point some fans actually thought he'd already been released. Nope, was still in the books. It all came to a head in April 2021 when he did get his walking papers, and around this same time, we actually found out what Bo had been doing. he'd been hosting a cooking show on YouTube, and yet for some reason nobody talked about it. More recently, Dallas has said he wants to return to the ring and that may be imminent, and he was also doing a wrestling convention over this side of the pond recently, and he looked very happy. He also seemed refreshed and ready for all of this and dropped the line that he wants to take on Pac to get revenge for the then Neville defeating him for his NXT championship. And while this was years ago, listen to me, wrestling world or wrestling genies, somebody's got to make this happen. Number 5, Chelsea Green. WWE did not seem to know what to do with Chelsea Green, because she was in NXT, then she was on the main roster, then she was on NXT, and then she was on the main roster, and she got fired. I mean, it really was like some kind of bizarre pinball effect. And don't go in the comments and start going, wow, she got injured all the time. Do you know who suffers the most if you do have injury after injury after injury? It's the wrestler. And the last thing they need is anybody walking up to them and going, it doesn't help. Still, Green took this as a huge reason to prove them wrong, and ever since she has been absolutely smashing it. I mean, she's made her home in the likes of GCW and Impact alongside husband Matt Cardona, and she's got into the podcast game. And I may be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure both of them have said over the last few months, they've made more money than ever in the world of wrestling. It's not like she's slowing down either, so who knows, maybe this is another person that will be given another shot in WWE, and she probably deserves it, because round 1 didn't exactly go to plan. Number 4, Callisto. Under his original name, Samurai Del Sol, Callisto actually did have a one and done in AEW, and the reason it may not have got to round 2 is due to some Twitter controversy. Because before he did appear, Del Sol did indeed mention the late, great and awesome Brody Lee on Twitter, and this seemed to capture the ire of both Amanda Huber and Chris Jericho. And I suppose they all had a conversation and decided they should go their separate ways, probably for the best. Since then, he's found work in GCW and down in AAA, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does pop up in more places going forward, because you can say whatever you want about the man, it's a free country, but he really can go in the ring. Number 3, Wesley Blake. Now working as Weston Blake, the promotion everybody is talking about in relation to him is Control Your Narrative. Because after some time away, he did return, and he joined CYN. And the reason we mention it here is because it did happen over WrestleMania weekend, and the reason it did take so long is because of the whole pandemic craziness. And look, if you don't know about Control Your Narrative, just go and do some reading, and even if you don't, I tell you, you're gonna know about it soon. So we should have to see what the future holds for him, as he hasn't done that much at the moment. Somewhat ironically, in WWE, he was part of the Forgotten Sons. Let's just leave it there. Number 2, Mojo Rawley. Another odd case where a wrestler got released and then vanished. You can actually hear Mojo Rawley now on the TMZ Sports podcast, where he has a bunch of interviews, one of which was over WrestleMania weekend with none other than Sami Zayn. More recently, he also attended Alexa Bliss's wedding, and I think one of the reasons we haven't heard from him so long is because he went through some serious health issues. So screw everything else, I just hope he's okay now. I mean, seriously, just go and follow him on Twitter to see that this hype persona is certainly not made up and is very true to the man, but also he's just got such a good demeanor and he has so much positive energy. I like Mojo Rawley, and I hope he gets back to wrestling properly very, very soon. Number 1, Tucker. Tucker seemed quite relieved to get his walking papers from WWE in 2021, probably because he'd been split up from Otis and Heavy Machinery had died, and the reasons for it were, nobody has a flubbing clue, mostly because I don't think WWE had a flubbing clue. I mean, the real-life Levi Cooper, I assume, just wanted to wrestle, and in WWE, they took him out of his tag team and then they didn't let him wrestle. He has been quite active afterwards though, including working for promotion Defy, and one of these matches actually got some traction because it was a 6-man and Cooper was in it alongside Eddie Kingston, and at one point Eddie grabbed him and it looked like he was gonna throw him out of a window. And as we are talking about Ed, you know the deal. Maybe this was planned, maybe he was just making it up on the fly. Hopefully Cooper will get some more opportunities going forward because he really wasn't given his due in WWE. I mean, everybody loved Heavy Machinery. They could have at least have been together for, I don't know, a few years or so. But you know the deal. If you do become a tag team under Vince McMahon, eventually you will be broken up. Know of any other information we may not have talked about when it comes to these wrestlers and their releases? Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You can also read a bunch of articles, news, and all kinds of things over at whatculture.com. You can follow us on social media at whatculturewwe, or I'm at SimonMiller316, and we have a ton of other videos. Just go check out a core of one. My name is Simon for What Culture. Thank you for joining me as always. I appreciate your time. See you soon.